We talk a lot about gender-based violence, but one that we often overlook is matricide. And for those who aren't familiar with it, here are a few quick points about it. Matricide is the killing of one's mother. It's a subset of femicide, and even though it's committed by both sons and daughters, experts say that in 85 to 90% of the cases, it was committed by a son or grandson. At least half involve mental health issues with substance abuse, and adult children still living with their mothers listed as other key factors. On March 25th, a 23-year-old male named Deron Donta Jenkins was released from prison after serving 3 years for larceny of firearms, multiple counts of breaking and entering into motor vehicles, and malicious conduct by a prisoner. About a week after being released, he murdered his mother, 50-year-old Dana Vanessa Jenkins, and his 15-year-old little brother, Darren Jenkins. Ms. Dana also has a daughter. She was either not in the home or she no longer lived there. Deron's mother had just posted to her social media account about how excited she was for her son to be coming home. According to the victim's cousin, Wanelia Carnegie, who lives next door to the victims, she knew something was going to happen. Wanelia also states that not only was Deron in prison for the crimes listed, but he was also in there for beating his mother up. And this is why I wanted to make this video. At what point should mothers separate themselves from their violent children? Because despite all of what she went through with her son, Miss Dana not only allowed him to move back in with her, but with her younger child, and she was actually excited. The Battered Women's Support Services based in Canada says that matricide cannot be understood without addressing the role of misogyny and patriarchal conditioning, which includes the unfair expectations placed on mothers, and that adult sons living at home with their mother can have internalized patriarchal beliefs, and this can make them both resentful of their reliance on their mothers while at the same time feeling unable to be independent. Probably the biggest obstacle in properly dealing with matricide stems from how under-examined it is. This leads to a lack of education and awareness, even from medical providers. Mothers caring for mentally ill or violent sons need greater education and collaboration between youth workers, GPs, the Criminal Prosecution Service, police, and social workers. Most of them don't see matricide as domestic abuse, which it is. It's just not a romantic relationship. So it needs to be treated with the same sense of urgency. It needs to have the same amount of education placed on it. Matricide is considered statistically rare, but one study in the UK that looked at femicide cases over a 15-year period stated that 1 in 10 of those were mothers murdered by their sons. These numbers also don't take into account the amount of mothers who are suffering in silence while dealing with verbal, emotional, and/or physical abuse from their children. How many Black mothers and grandmothers are left to care for their adult male sons or grandsons? How many of them are going through this in silence but are too embarrassed to admit it because our cultural rule of keeping family business in the family, keeping family business private? When a 76-year-old mother told an ambulance crew that she was scared of her 44-year-old son who thought that she was a witch, not enough was done, and the next day he killed her. There was a mother who had to call the police out 50 times over a 2-year period because of her son's behavior. When in the hospital, she told medical professionals that she was too frightened to go home. But despite this, she was discharged. Her son eventually killed her. A GP who noted in a son's chart that he wasn't to be left alone with any female staff because of his anger issues towards women thought nothing of the fact that he was residing with his mother. There's cases of sons being taken off medication without any thought of how this could affect his mother, who is essentially his primary caregiver. However, the obstacle that sticks out the most to me is the reluctance of mothers to have their son or grandson criminalized. When we think about the intense overprotectiveness that Black mothers have over their sons, the overprotectiveness that Black women have over Black males in general, and given the environment that we're currently in, with ex-wives digging even deeper into their patriarchal beliefs and feelings, This becomes even more disturbing when focusing on our community. 2 experts in the UK have stated that there has been a disturbing uptick since 2016. This is not something that we can afford to ignore, just like femicide, just like domestic violence, and everything else that certain Black women are trying desperately to get the community to pay attention to. In addition to the overprotectiveness that Black women have over Black males and their sons, there's other things specific to our culture that makes all of this all the more worrisome for Black women. One of this, as it relates to domestic violence, is that, like I said on my old TikTok page, multiple domestic violence advocates and organizations have stated that Black women will avoid calling the police, not only due to battered woman syndrome, not only because they're more likely to be criminalized or not believed, but because they fear that he, the abuser, might be harmed or even killed by the police. This is how deep the "we must protect Black males at all costs" goes in our community. And I realize more and more every day just how much Black women sacrifice because of this cultural mandate. What's even more infuriating about all of this is that it's not even based in reality. Just the reality that our community won't re-examine. Because a couple of years ago, I went looking for the data on police shootings. The most up-to-date information was 2020, and I believe it was due to COVID. I did not go back and look at it again because I just got too much going on. So I'm just basing it on the information that I found at that time. And I learned that despite the way the community treats police brutality as if it's our #1 issue, given the amount of energy, effort, emotions, protesting, and all of that we put into it, approximately 240 Black males were killed by the police that year. This includes justified and unjustified shootings. Now, I'm aware that this does not cover the amount of people who have been harassed, assaulted, had false evidence or charges placed on them, etc. But when we compare that number to the amount of killings that Black males have caused to other Black males, it's not even close. Black males killed by other Black males due to gun violence in 2020, according to the CDC, was approximately 10,548. That's 44 times the amount. We know that Black women have the highest rate amongst women in this country of being murdered. We are murdered 6 times as often as white women, according to researchers at the Columbia University School of Medicine. We also know that Black women have the highest rate of DV and highest rate of being killed as a result of DV. So what this all means is that the police actually pose the lowest risk of harm to their abusive boyfriends or husbands, yet those Black women created the highest risk of harm or death to themselves. And this right here is why Black women discussing these issues is important. And it proves that we are not bitter, hurt, have a vendetta against Black males, or any other nonsense that they love screaming. Black women repeatedly continue to put themselves in harm, all in an effort to protect Black males. Something that just doesn't even make sense. Rarely, even throughout history, have you seen communities where the women are protecting the males, where the women are risking their lives for the males. The only way to fix this ridiculously out of control problem of gender-based violence in our community is that we have to show how all of these dots connect. We have to reveal what's actually going on and not just the narrative that everyone believes. Stop being afraid of addressing this, Black women. Get to the core of it, fix it, and then we can move on in a better way. In case you haven't already noticed, there is a pattern to many of these cultural beliefs that we have, and most of them seem to be about protecting the perpetrators and sacrificing the victims.